picking a metric of what's the guy's IQ is not enough for me. First of all, he did not give you. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because it's what do you do with your intelligence? You think he gave you an accurate recitation of Russian history starting in the 8th century because Candace just said so. She's wrong and you're wrong, okay? He did not give you an accurate recitation. He gave you a KGB doctored look at why it's okay that he wants to reestablish the Soviet Union. That's what he gave.
Oh, stop it.
Listen, I'm not here to play Russia good, Russia bad, okay?
Russia has a smaller GDP than California. He's
so
not,
what? So what? They're also invading a country right now just for avarice.
Americans are economically so unintelligible that they are going to believe that the threat that we are facing today is Russia trying to reestablish. So this is like Cold War propaganda. We got to move on from that, okay?
But it's just as real now as it was then.
1960s.
And remember, in America, these people are allowed to be here right now doing things they could never do in Russia. Never. Nobody can speak out against Putin. He is at over 75% in popularity polls because people know what happens if you answer differdifferently. They make no money. They have no press freedoms. When they try to exercise themselves even on the internet,
starting to
they
sound
get
like
chased.
America today, because January 6ers are locked up for wrongthink. You locked up grandmas for expressing their opinions.
That is something to be concerned about.
You are saying
that is
that
something
if you
to be concerned about.
That is correct.
Not admired,
freedom of press. You're
but
sitting
used
here,
as a point
they
of
wanted
fear.
to arrest Tucker Carlson for going over to speak to a leader of a country that we are allegedly not at war with. So you're also describing America while you are telling us.
I am not describing America. I'm describing what America should not be. So be careful about putting up a model of what you think has some value.
Nobody said there was a model. We just said that it's very obvious that Putin can complete a sentence and that Biden can't.
Yeah,
and
he can complete a sentence. He can also likely murder his opponents. And that's a function of his intelligence also, because it's not guided by any sense of morality. And that matters too. And Tucker making the decision.
Gonzalo Lira was just killed by Zelensky. He's a thug. We shouldn't be supporting Ukraine at all, not a single dollar.
Even if that were true, which neither of us know whether it is, then that's a policy argument. Have the policy argument. The idea of good and evil, right and wrong, cheapens it. It cheapens it.
But you just did that.
I'm not doing it. I'm doing the opposite. I'm not triggered. What are you, 19? We're using 19-year-old woke language now that I'm triggered?
Okay,
I'm not triggered. I got my legs crossed. It means I'm comfortable.
Okay, well, you just seemed a little triggered. You like
I don't like setting up Putin as a model.
I didn't. Nobody here. Everyone is listening to what I said, and I'm gonna not just double down. I'm gonna triple down, quadruple down on the fact that it's very obvious to the American people that our leaders are extremely lackluster, and that has been made even more abundantly clear after having watched Tucker Carlson sit across from Vladimir Putin, which was heroic on his part, because we are tired of being propagandized. We are tired of people pretending, if you live in Russia, there's going to be so much propaganda. There's so much propaganda here.
I agree.
Okay, we are suffering from the exact same things that you accuse Vladimir Putin of doing.
I agree.
Locking up people's opponents, right?
I agree. I don't agree with locking up their opponents.
FBI agents showing up on American people's doorsteps because they attended a rally on January 6th. 3 of my friends had FBI agents. They didn't even step foot in the Capitol, okay? Had FBI agents show up because they wanted any person that even showed up to hear Trump speak on January 6th to feel threatened by that, because the establishment said that you weren't allowed to support Donald Trump, okay? So I'm gonna speak to how the public is feeling right now. And we are very aware of the fact that Joe Biden could potentially be dead right now, okay? We don't even know, like he can barely make it through a sentence. And when we see somebody like Vladimir Putin, who is able to, is what?
You do know that Joe Biden's not dead.
Tongue-in-cheek.
And you do know that he wasn't shot up with something.
No, I actually do.
Before he went out there.
I actually do believe he was shot up with adrenaline before he goes. What do you mean, come on? JFK used to do that.
Come on.
So it's like,
listen,
they obviously are giving him drugs before he speaks.
The truth is enough. And I'll tell you why it becomes problematic, okay? Look, it's a half joke. They shot Biden up with something last night.
It's not a half joke. I really believe that.
Here's what happens. Well, look, if you really believe that, that's fine. It would be just nice to have a basis for it. But yeah, he's going to take a drug test. Okay. Look, here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. Okay, just trust me on this, because you've already seen it. You're going to know that it's already true. You are allowing for a BS standard of appraisal. So now,
Intelligence is a BS standard.
it's not intelligent, it's the shooting up part. So now they'll start showing clips of Trump where it seems that he's not speaking fluidly. And they'll talk about whether he's on drugs. And
They did that already.
They will, but that's what you enable with this. I'm saying just stick with the truth. Are our leaders performing the way we need them to be? Come on, it's a rhetorical question. No. You had in Congress last night, I forget who smacked me with this stat, but it was a great one. 14% popularity for members of Congress, right? That sounds about right. It's somewhere between 12% and 20%, depending on the poll. 94% re-election rate. How do you have such low popularity and such high re-election rate? Because the game is rigged. That's why. Now, the truth is enough, okay? Just stick with the truth. The problem is when you get into these situations of comparing a guy who's just a bad guy with what you want in your own leadership, I don't think it sends you to the right place.
The truth is that Vladimir Putin was able to communicate in a way that was coherent.
Would you want Vladimir Putin to be your president?
This is such a fine statement.
Would you want Vladimir Putin to be your president?
That's not what I said.
I'm asking you a question.
That's not what I said.
I'm asking you a question.
No, but you're asking the question because you still cannot deal with the fact that I have accurately described Vladimir Putin as coherent. He is.
There's no question he's coherent. I'm just saying.
Do you think he's smart?
I think he's an intelligent man, yes.
That's all I said. Oh my God, we got there. We can move on. Good.
Listen.
Oh my God, we got there. It's just, that's all I said, right?
But
okay,
it's
cool.
about why you're using him as an instruction.
Because
I have sat
I
across
just
from
said
serial killers that are intelligent men.
Because
I don't want them deciding my taxes.
Did I say that I wanted Vladimir Putin to set my
But
taxes?
why
I just wanted to
hold
make sure
him
that
up
we're
as an
all-
example? Why hold him up as an example?
Because we are talking about
it's
the
like when
American
Trump said
people's
Duterte is a
mindset.
tough guy.
Everyone else
Why
is able
do
to
that?
comprehend this, so I'm going to reset it one more time.
One more time.
Okay? We are talking about the State of the Union. I'm talking about the mindset of Americans that understand this is all very performative and the insult to have him up there as if he is the leader of our nation, especially following the interview that we all watched in which Vladimir Putin first and foremost made it clear that he doesn't view our leaders as even leading the country. He views them all as puppets and that he deals,
but you're
deals with the
still
CIA.
using Putin as a positive comparison
this
to who
is-
we have. I mean, I don't know what I'm missing in terms of the logic.
This is how I take it,
You are missing.
Chris. This is how I take it from the outside. I take it as I want to know everybody's leader on how they are, how formidable they are, and can mine go up against that leader. If Putin and Biden are in a negotiation table, we're gonna lose.
Yeah,
That's all I'm thinking about. So for me, I think about somebody being able to sit up against them to say, hey, you got to knock it off with this Ukraine stuff. By the way, let's process this in a different way. We had, I don't know who I was having this conversation with. It's like, well, you know what do you think about this and what do you think about that? I said, listen, we have 4 years of data, pure data of what happened under Trump. They can't play that same game as, aren't you afraid that he has access to the button? He's actually one of the 46 people ever who had access to the button and never used it, and there was no wars, right? For 4 years. It was peaceful. We didn't have no Ukraine, nothing, Afghanistan, nothing going on, no Israel, Hamas, nothing going on, right? This guy's here, he's got access to everything for 3 years. What do we have going on? What we did with Afghanistan, they're wearing our uniform now. What happened with Ukraine and Russia, what happened with Israel and Hamas. According to pure data, one doesn't know how to sit across another alpha and say, check yourself, stop, you cannot behave like this again. That's purely how I process the difference between Putin and Biden. I don't sit there and look at Biden and say, man, I can't wait for this guy to go into the boardroom. He's going to crush it in the boardroom behind closed doors negotiating. I say, please don't keep it behind closed doors. I want to see exactly how he's going to be negotiated. He doesn't give you that kind of a confidence.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.